In our headlines on this Wednesday, April 29th, here in South Korea, Donald Trump reportedly orders his aides to prepare for an extended blockade of Iranian ports after posting on a social media platform that Iran had told the US it was in a state of collapse. Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates announces its intentions to withdraw its membership from the organization of the petroleum exporting countries this coming Friday for what appears to be national interests. And the Seoul High Court delivers its appeals ruling on former President Yoon Suk-yeol's obstruction of justice case, which is just one out of a total of 8 separate criminal proceedings that he faces. We start over in the U.S., where the Trump administration appears prepared to ramp up its pressure campaign against Iran by extending its naval blockade of the latter's seaports. Our Cho Young-eun has the latest.
According to the Wall Street Journal on Tuesday, Trump recently directed aides to prepare for an extended blockade of Iranian ports. Citing U.S. officials, the report said Trump will continue pressuring Iran's economy and oil exports by restricting its ports. Officials said Trump viewed his other options, resuming military strikes or stepping away from the conflict altogether, as carrying greater political and strategic risks. Still, the strategy could prolong a conflict that has already pushed gas prices up, hurt Trump's approval ratings, and raise concerns among Republicans ahead of this year's midterm elections. In a Truth Social post on Tuesday, Trump claimed Iran had told the U.S. it was in a state of collapse, suggesting the current pressure campaign is severely damaging Tehran's economy. A senior U.S. official said Iran is struggling to store unsold oil and has recently reached out to Washington. Meanwhile, Reuters reported that U.S. intelligence agencies are assessing how Iran will respond to a declaration of a unilateral victory by Trump in the ongoing conflict. The report says some administration officials are concerned the war could become a growing political burden for the White House and deepen Republican concerns in the upcoming elections. The intelligence community aims to understand the implication of Trump potentially pulling back, while rapid de-escalation could pose renewed threats to U.S. allies in the region. Adding to the uncertainty, the Financial Times reported the growing divisions within Iran's leadership over whether Tehran should negotiate with Washington over its nuclear program. Iran said the conflict is far from over, with an Iranian military spokesperson saying that Tehran does not consider the conflict to be finished. Cho Young-eun, Arirang News.
Also, on the international front, the United Arab Emirates has announced its intentions to leave the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries this coming Friday. Isinja covers the abrupt announcement and the response from global oil markets.
The United Arab Emirates has announced it will leave the OPEC and OPEC Plus groups on May 1st, ending nearly 60 years of membership in one of the world's most influential oil alliances. UAE officials say the move is aimed at supporting the country's long-term strategy to meet rising global energy demand following significant investments to expand its oil production capacity. The decision signals a shift in priorities as the country looks to operate more independently in the global energy market. The departure of the UAE, a key and long-standing member, could disrupt the balance within OPEC. The group has historically worked to present a unified front despite internal disagreements over geopolitical tensions and production quotas. Analysts say the exit may weaken cohesion within the cartel and raise questions about future coordination among major oil producers. UAE Energy Minister Suhail Mohammed Al-Mazrouei said the decision followed a thorough review of the country's energy strategy. He also confirmed that the UAE did not consult with other member states, including heavyweight producer Saudi Arabia, before making the announcement. Markets reacted quickly with oil prices surging. Overnight Brent crude, the global benchmark, rose 2.5% to just over $104 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate climbed nearly 4% to around $100 a barrel. U.S. gas prices have also climbed to their highest level in 4 years, averaging $4.18 per gallon, as stalled peace talks involving the United States, Israel, and Iran continue to weigh on global energy markets. The last time prices topped this level was April 2022, following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and current prices are now about $1 higher than a year ago. 이승재, Arirang News.
Up next, we take a closer look at the reasons and ripple effects of the UAE's planned departure from OPEC. Our Park Jun-han reports.
The United Arab Emirates, one of the world's largest oil suppliers, has decided to leave the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC. As of February, the UAE was the group's third largest producer behind Saudi Arabia and Iraq, pumping around 3.6 million barrels of oil per day, roughly 12% of the organization's total output. Its departure is categorically different from previous exits when Qatar left in 2019, Ecuador in 2020, and Angola in 2024. While the previous exit's impact was limited, this time it is not. The UAE has the capacity to produce up to 4.8 million barrels per day and has plans to expand that to 5 million by 2027. But OPEC's quota system limited its output to about 3 to 3.5 million, leaving a lot of potential revenue untapped as it supported Saudi Arabia's strategy of keeping prices high. With no resolution in sight, Abu Dhabi chose the country's long-term strategic and economic vision over OPEC's. According to the BBC, OPEC once controlled 85% of global oil trade in the 1970s, but that figure has fallen to around 50% today. This means the group still holds leverage but no longer has a monopoly. Losing the flexibility to control oil supply will eventually weaken OPEC's ability to respond to price shocks going forward. While other OPEC members are not yet showing signs of following suit, tensions are rising inside the group over Saudi Arabia's dominant decision-making. In the short term, the ongoing disruption in the Strait of Hormuz limits any immediate market impact. However, once stability returns, the UAE's ability to ramp up production freely could put downward pressure on oil prices and further erode OPEC's leverage in a world increasingly turning toward alternative energy sources. Park Jun-han, Arirang News.
A Russian cargo vessel suspected of smuggling arms out of North Korea has returned to the port of Rason. According to an NK Pro analysis of Planet Labs satellite imagery, the Russian vessel Lady R docked at the port on April 21st. The following day, satellite imagery confirmed that the Lady R had reached Russia's Vostochny to offload its cargo. Russian vessels have been suspected of transporting North Korean weapons since the year 2023. Meanwhile, the commander of U.S. forces here in South Korea has proposed a new comprehensive security network linking Seoul, Tokyo, and Manila. Our Yoon explains.
The head of U.S. Forces Korea, Army General Xavier Brunson, has outlined a new potential strategy to combine the military capabilities of South Korea, Japan, and possibly the Philippines to create a faster and more flexible network system across land, sea, and air, as well as the space, cyber, and electromagnetic arenas. In an interview with the Japan Times published Tuesday, Brunson said these complementary capabilities have to be linked into a kill web that achieves combined joint all-domain effects. He added that it would enable a more coordinated response to regional security threats from North Korea, China, and Russia. Brunson emphasized that South Korea, Japan, and the Philippines, all U.S. alliances, cannot afford to exist in isolation, but connected, the overlapping strengths leave no single axis for an adversary to plan against. Brunson also said the cooperation would fundamentally change how the U.S. and its allies organize in the Indo-Pacific, potentially positioning South Korea at the center as a regional defense hub due to its location and advanced industrial base. Japan would contribute advanced combat and surveillance capabilities and control over key maritime choke points, while the Philippines would provide strategic access linking the Pacific and Indian Oceans. However, most importantly, Commander Brunson highlighted that the kill web only works if every node sees the same picture, especially at a time when modern conflicts are often shaped before conventional fighting begins, requiring even quicker detection and action as well as trust. Despite all three countries being U.S. allies, such a strategy would not be without challenges, with complex relationships, differences in operational systems, and legal regulations, all barriers that would need to be overcome. Yoon,
아리랑 뉴스.
The Seoul High Court has just delivered its appeals ruling on former President Yoon Suk-yeol's obstruction of justice case. For details on this, I have our political correspondent An Sung-jin standing by live outside the court. Sung-jin, welcome. Let's start with that ruling.
Right, Sunny. First of all, we are nearby the Seoul High Court as close as we can. We couldn't go any closer due to large rallies of supporters and police clashes by the main entrance. Now, I've been out here since the appellate ruling for former President Yoon Suk-yeol began at 3 p.m. And what we've been seeing is that though the security measures have actually loosened, we still see vehicle blockades positioned by each of the entrances. A special appellate panel by the Seoul High Court dedicated to insurrection-related cases sentenced Yoon to 7 years for obstructing his own arrest and related charges. This is more than the first ruling, which was 5 years, but less than what the prosecutors had appealed for, which was 10 years. The verdict was handed down at around 4 p.m. The court cited a range of factors in making the decision: violation of the Presidential Security Act for ordering the deletion of secure phone records, abuse of power and special obstruction of public officials in execution of duties during Yoon's first attempt to block arrests, and ordering the deletion of secure phone records. This marks the first appellate decision tied to allegations surrounding the December 3rd martial law declaration and the inaugural case handled by the court's insurrection-focused division.
Right. So, Sung-jin, what exactly were his charges and what have both parties been claiming?
Right. Former President Yoon Suk-yeol faced multiple charges, including allegedly mobilizing the Presidential Security Service to obstruct an execution of an arrest warrant by the Corruption Investigation Office of high-ranking officials. He is also accused of convening a flawed meeting ahead of the declaration of the martial law and drafting a martial law proclamation, destroying it, and ordering the deletion of secure phone call records. In the initial trial held in January, the court sentenced him to 5 years in prison, which the prosecutors from the special counsel appealed, arguing it was too lenient, leading to this appeal. Prosecutors had argued that Yoon's actions undermined the constitutional order and represented an abuse of state power. They also criticized Yoon for denying the allegations, shifting blame onto subordinates, and showing no signs of remorse. Yoon's defense team continued to maintain the position that the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials lacked jurisdiction to investigate charges of insurrection. Meanwhile, in a separate case for charges of leading an insurrection, Yoon was sentenced to life imprisonment in February, with the appellate trial currently in motion. That's all I have for you now. Back to you.
All right, Sung-jin, thank you for that coverage. That was our An Sung-jin live at the Seoul High Court. Moving on then, President Lee Jae-myung has called for political unity against external challenges. While hosting 5 minor parties and independent lawmakers for lunch at the Blue House on this Wednesday, he lamented what he called self-inflicting harm regarding issues tied to foreign affairs and security, adding that such cases are hard to find in other countries. That being said, the president urged for public-mindedness. His words come amid criticism by the main opposition People Power Party of his administration's handling of South Korea's relationship with the U.S. In other news, new findings show the tangible industry-wide impact of BTS's popularity as the group's foreign fans spent more and stayed longer here in South Korea compared to ordinary inbound travelers. Our Chung Hae-rim takes a closer look.
Global K-pop superstar group BTS has proved its significance in Korea's tourism economy. According to a report released today by the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, foreign visitors who traveled to Korea for BTS concerts stayed longer and spent significantly more than the average tourist. Data from the Gwanghwamun Square concert in March shows that foreign visitors stayed an average of 8.7 days, which is 2.9 days longer than the general tourist average of 6.1. Their spending averaged 3.53 million won, or some $2,300 per person, nearly 1.5 times the typical tourist. The impact was seen more concentrated in local neighborhoods. In Daehwadong, Goyang, where the band performed earlier this month, the number of foreign visitors skyrocketed 35-fold compared to the same period last year, from about 1,000 to about 48,000. Foreign car transactions climbed from roughly 8.9 million won to over 330 million won, or about $228,000, marking a 38-fold surge compared to the same period a year earlier. Experts attribute this to the BTS The City program, which links the concert venue with landmarks in Seoul's Yongsan and Myeongdong. Instead of just attending a concert, fans are engaging in stay-type tourism, exploring filming locations and museum exhibits. Experts say rising interest in K-culture has turned into an engine, driving a paradigm shift in Korea's tourism industry.
With BTS resuming group activities, global fans are turning their focus back to Korea. We're seeing a massive influx of international tourists whenever these major concerts take place. It's a very positive sign that proves the real-world impact of Korea's cultural assets through hard data.
The government is now taking this blueprint nationwide. To coincide with the upcoming BTS Busan concerts in June, a special welcome week will be held from June 1st to the 15th. 정혜림, Arirang News.
Elsewhere, a former main building of the Chungcheongbuk-do Provincial office has adopted a new identity as a picture book library. Our Kim Seoyoung has a glimpse.
Children follow their teacher through an exhibition hall, looking at picture books along the way. In another part of the hall, children are busy making their own picture books. There are cozy reading areas where young visitors can gather and read together, while bookshelves are full of picture books that immediately catch the eye.
Most libraries keep picture books together in one section, but here the books are everywhere, so it feels much more fun.
What was once the formal main building of the Chungcheongbuk-do Provincial office has been transformed into a warm and inviting picture book library. Originally built in 1937 during Japanese colonial rule with donations from local residents, the building has now reopened as Picture Book Garden 1937. The most distinctive feature is that the building, designated as Registered Cultural Heritage number 55, was neither demolished nor significantly altered. Instead, the original structure was preserved as much as possible.
We wanted to create a place where exhibitions, hands-on experiences, and education could all come together. Using picture books, we created a cultural space that everyone can enjoy.
The exhibition hall has around 14,000 picture books. Along with well-known titles from Korea and abroad, it also features special exhibitions, including one dedicated to pop-up book artists. More than just an exhibition hall, the space is designed to be a place where local residents can visit, explore, and spend time. The historic 90-year-old building is opening a new chapter as a cultural space for Chungcheongbuk-do province. Books, exhibitions, and interactive experiences now fill the space where major decisions for the province were made. Kim Seoyoung, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. Britain's King Charles gave a speech at a joint session of the U.S. Congress on Tuesday, calling the alliance between the two countries, quote, one of the most consequential in human history. His address to Congress was only the second such address by a British monarch in history. King Charles also urged leaders to resist turning inward and voiced his support for NATO and Ukraine. Trump met Charles privately in the Oval Office on Tuesday, calling the meeting really good. A state dinner followed at the White House that evening. Elon Musk testified on Tuesday in his lawsuit against OpenAI. Musk told a California federal court he helped build the company as a charity and watched its leadership converted into a profit-driven enterprise worth over $850 billion. Musk is seeking $150 billion in damages and wants OpenAI returned to non-profit status. He also wants CEO Sam Altman removed. OpenAI's lawyers told jurors that Musk wanted to run the company himself and sued only after failing to gain control. The judge admonished Musk before proceedings began over social media posts attacking Altman. A verdict is expected by mid-May. In Greece, an 89-year-old man wounded at least 4 people on Tuesday after opening fire at 2 government buildings in central Athens before police arrested him over 200 kilometers away near the city of Patra. The suspect first entered a social security office and shot an employee in the leg, then opened fire at a nearby courthouse, injuring several workers. Authorities found envelopes with documents at the scene, suggesting a personal grievance. U.S. pop star Taylor Swift has filed trademark applications with U.S. Patent and Trademark Office covering 2 audio recordings and a staged photograph, a move that legal experts say is designed to protect her spoken voice and likeness from AI-generated deepfakes. Current copyright law does not cover AI content that mimics a voice without copying an original recording, a gap these filings on Friday aim to close. Taylor Swift's spoken voice and image have previously appeared without consent in fake advertisements, fabricated political endorsements, and explicit AI-generated material. Chu Ji-han, Arirang News.
Tomorrow, it may feel a bit chilly in the morning, but it'll turn pleasantly warm by the afternoon. In Seoul, daytime highs will be above 20 degrees Celsius, and temperatures will continue to rise toward the end of the week. However, there's a big temperature swing of around 15 degrees at night, so be sure to dress in layers. Meanwhile, dry conditions are sticking around. A dry weather advisory has been issued for parts of Seoul, and it remains in place across Chungcheongbuk-do, Jeollabuk-do, and Gyeongsangbuk-do regions. So with ongoing wildfire risks, extra caution is definitely needed. On mountainous areas of Jeju Island, light showers less than 5 millimeters are a possibility through early tomorrow morning. And air quality will stay clean, ranging from good to moderate. Tomorrow, Seoul will start the day at 9 degrees, Chuncheon at 6 degrees, Busan at 13 degrees. Then by the afternoon, Seoul will get up to 22 degrees, as will Chuncheon, Daejeon, and Daegu. Looking ahead, temperatures will gradually trend upward, and from tomorrow night into early Friday, Gyeongsang-do province can expect around 5 millimeters of rain.
Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session, so do stay with us and thank you for now.